Hi, I'm Tyler Simone, and this is the Happily Self-Conscious podcast, the show where it's cool to be self-conscious. As a personal development enthusiast, I love to learn how I can become better in all areas of life, and I want to share with you transformative tips and tricks to help you also become your best self. Together, we'll learn how we can become more self-conscious. Let's do it. Welcome to episode number 10. Thank you so much for being here as always. Today, I wanted to give you the blueprint to achieving any goal that you might have for yourself. You know, that one thing or things that you just can't stop thinking about. I'm sure you have quite a few things that you would love to see happen in your life. I know I do. There's this running list. We have about 4 months left until 2024, which is wild. And I know that the new year tends to cause all of us to consider what we want for ourselves in the new year. But I was thinking, why not start now? The truth is that in order for your dreams to become your reality, a few things have to take place. The ability to achieve your goals requires a change in mindset more than anything, because your mindset is what unlocks everything else. You have to think differently and become someone new, because the you in your dream or the you that accomplishes your goal is a future version of you. And if you were the same you, then it wouldn't be a goal. It would just be your current reality. It would already be happening and you'd be living that life already. So the things that you're currently doing, the habits or the mindset that you have, those may not be things that you can take into the next phase of your life. They may not necessarily be quote unquote bad, but they may not be contributing to you in the right ways. Habits that you've adopted over the years, the things that you have been doing may have worked in the past to get you to this point, but to become more, you'll have to evolve. Although change can be uncomfortable, especially when you're talking about changing aspects of who you are, it is inevitable. We can't keep doing the same things and become someone else. Essentially, you have to make a choice. Either you can continue thinking the same way you have been and doing the same things that you've always done, or you can take control, deciding to adopt a new mindset and become better, more shiny. And there is a lot of beauty in that, because it really allows you that opportunity to take control of your current reality and your future. Instead of acting out old patterns and being on autopilot, you actually make decisions that are more aligned with who you want to be. Once we start to question whether or not the things that we do, the responsibilities we take on, and the opportunities we say yes to truly align with what we want and what makes us feel fulfilled, we can start to move in the right direction. Before I get into the steps, I want to just say that your goals, they might scare you a little bit, and that's okay. If that's the case, then you're doing good. They should make you feel a little uneasy or uncomfortable. That just means that you're dreaming with no barriers, and that is when the magic happens. So let's go step by step. Here are the 7 steps that will help you accomplish that goal that you just can't stop thinking about. Step number 1, claim it. What do you really want? Actually, if you have an idea or something that you think about pretty regularly, I think that means that it's something that you need to pursue. We all have these different ideas for a reason, and they usually come from a deeper place. So don't let them slip away. Claim it by writing it down first. I believe that writing things down is pretty magical because it gets your ideas out of your head and makes them more real. You can see your goals and your dreams written down and you've put it out into the air. Bonus points if you say it out loud, which I tend to do. When we don't claim what we want, the ideas that we have, they're sort of like daydreams and they don't go much further than that. But if you allow yourself to go a step further and put it down on paper, you really have no choice but to acknowledge that, yes, you really want that for yourself. Once you've claimed what you want, it really does help to visualize that new self that you're trying to become, but don't get too caught up on that. To revisit the end goal and to solely focus on it can backfire because you're constantly comparing your current situation to where you want to be, and that can cause you to feel like it's just so far out of reach. So claim what you want, get excited about it, and know within yourself that that is where you want to be. Step number 2 is to say it out loud. You can say it out loud to yourself or to someone trustworthy and positive, someone who wants the best for you. Don't tell someone who has a track record of tearing you down or questioning your goals. You always want to try and stay away from telling people like that, really sensitive things like this. I'll usually tell my family because they are super supportive and they push me to go after every goal that I have for myself. But honestly, some people, they don't necessarily want you to go after your goals because they haven't gone after their own, and they will deter you from going that next step. If you have someone you can trust, and this can be a family member, a really trustworthy friend, or an accountability partner, maybe that you met in a group that you're in, tell them and get excited about it, even if it's scary to you in the moment. If you've ever done this before, you and I both know that saying your goals out loud can be absolutely terrifying because they've just lived in your head for so long. No one knows about this dream but you. But that's the thing. Saying what you want out loud is a very bold move, and the universe rewards the bold. So you want to be one of those people. It's not until you claim what you want that opportunities start showing up and people come along, sometimes out of nowhere, who can teach you and lead you to your next step. But if you don't put yourself out there, that can't happen. Once you've claimed what you want by writing your goal down and or speaking it out loud, step number 3 is to get clear on the behaviors and the mindset that you have to adopt to reach that goal. The thing about dreams and goals is that you can have a goal all you want, but if you don't adopt the behaviors necessary to reach that goal, you can't get there. You have to do the work, take action. It's all about your behaviors. And in order to make it to that next phase in your journey, your behaviors are going to have to change. When we adopt new behaviors that align with our goals, we start to make better decisions that make sense for us. And these decisions, they truly build our confidence, which is necessary to achieve these goals. That is what allows us to make more bold moves, moves that we would have never made. This step will most likely require some sort of research. For me, one thing that I like to do is to listen to the stories of other people who have accomplished something that I want to accomplish someday. And this is not to imitate their path or their experience, but it's more so to see what behaviors they had to adopt to get there. Maybe you're going to have to find a mentor. Maybe you're going to have to up your networking game to make more connections. Or maybe you're going to have to schedule more time in your day to become certified in something. And those are all examples of actions that you might have to make. But what about mindset? Sometimes we're going to have to develop a tougher skin, for example. And I think that this is actually the case for most goals. We might have to become better at adapting or dealing with different personalities, get more comfortable with putting ourselves out there, and, the list goes on. But without getting clear on how you'll need to change internally after claiming your goal, you'll stay in the same spot. So, what behavior can you adopt today that will push you further along? Step number 4 is to make decisions with your goal in mind. And this step is pretty important because making decisions is something that we do every single day, but not every decision that we make aligns with who we're trying to become. If something comes up that might threaten the chances of you reaching your goal, the answer is no. And this goes for dating, activities, substances. Doing this is not always easy, but it is a major step in making your dreams a reality. We have to be okay, quote unquote, missing out on certain activities and be okay with certain relationships changing. And from what I hear, that is one of the most uncomfortable realizations, is that saying no will change some of your relationships because you're evolving. And that can mean that the nature of your relationships won't necessarily be the same. Your goal will most likely take some time to attain. It'll take work. It's going to take energy. And in order to have that space and the opportunity to achieve the goal, you'll have to say no to certain things. Another decision that you'll have to make is the decision to adopt new habits. So while you're choosing to behave in better ways, you have to choose to stop behaving in other ways. Don't do things that aren't adding to your progress, or just do less of them to start off with. And, I'm talking to you, of course, but I'm also talking to myself. Holding on to old behaviors might be one of the main reasons why your dream can't become your reality. They aren't adding to your progress. Step number 5 is to do check-ins every once in a while. And these are check-ins on the smaller steps that you're taking to get to the main goal. These could be weekly or monthly goals that you have decided to take on to make sure that you stay on track. Accountability, which is such a hot topic in personal development, is really important when it comes to goals, because without accountability, you're just kind of out here all willy-nilly and you could get sidetracked. It's actually extremely likely that you will get sidetracked if, for one, you're not holding yourself accountable, but also if you don't have anyone at all in your life to say things to you like, how's your blog coming along? And just checking in with you to see how well you're doing as far as moving towards what you really want in life. You want to track your progress and hold yourself accountable to these mini goals. And writing these down aside from your main goal, it really does something to your brain. There is this little thing called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is the perception of contradictory information and the mental toll of it. So it's not comfortable at all, and it's not fun, but it can be used to your advantage in this situation. When you've claimed what you want, you have decided on your new behaviors, you're checking in on your mini goals, and you realize that you aren't acting in alignment with those things, that's when that uncomfortable cognitive dissonance kicks in, because you're contradicting yourself or you're just not doing the things that you promised yourself. For example, if your goal is to lose 5 pounds, but you haven't been working out 4 times a week like you said you would, you might feel guilty. So in my experience, checking in with yourself to make sure that you are doing what you said you were going to do is just a great reminder to get back in line, and it reduces any cognitive dissonance. Step number 6 in achieving that goal that you just can't stop thinking about is to affirm yourself. Validate yourself. I don't know if you are a big fan of affirmations like I am, but they have done wonders for me when it comes to going after those big goals. You need to make sure that you are affirming yourself, that you absolutely have what it takes to achieve everything that you want to achieve and more, that you have everything you need within you. You don't want to ever wait for permission from other people to go after what you really want or to affirm that you have what it takes. You have to do that for yourself. You can do it as often as you want. And in the beginning, honestly, you might not fully believe it. It might take some time to truly believe what it is you're telling yourself, and that's okay. We all start there. But over time, you start to believe that what you're saying is true because you've been doing those new behaviors, you've adopted new habits, and your confidence, it's grown so much. So why wouldn't you be able to get there? It's all in the works, and there's only a matter of time before you are face to face with what you've been wanting. So the final step in getting to where you want to be is to celebrate yourself. And I'm not just talking about celebrating when you reach your destination. I'm talking about all of the steps in between along the way. Celebrate the big and the small things. Celebrate on a daily basis if you have to. Every time you work out, celebrate yourself. Every time you read before bed like you said you would, celebrate. Every time you choose to say no to something that you once said yes to that is not good for you, celebrate that because it's all a part of the process and you're doing a great job. Remember that every small, quote unquote, small thing that you do to become who you want to be is brave. And it takes a really brave person to go after what they want. And every time you celebrate a step that you've taken in that direction gives you more and more motivation to keep going. The celebration doesn't have to be anything major. You don't have to pop a bottle of champagne every single time, unless that's your jam. But it could be a smile or a bath or taking yourself out for a smoothie at the end of the week. Celebrating yourself along the way will give you the push you need and the confidence to keep going. Have you ever noticed that people who have reached some level of success or their idea of success, they always say something like, I didn't know what I was doing, but I just kept going, or this is more than I could have ever dreamed of. I believe that that is because they truly just got lost in the journey. They weren't just focusing on the end goal, but they were instead paying attention to where they were in the journey at that time, and then the goal arrived. So claim your dream or your goal, figure out what you need to change internally and externally, and adopt that new way of being. Make decisions that align with who you want to be. Check in with yourself. Remind yourself that you have what it takes, and celebrate the steps along the way. And before you know it, you'll get there. And for this episode's quote, if your dreams don't scare you, they are too small. That quote was said by Richard Branson and is one of my personal favorites. Thank you so much for being here and for listening. Don't forget to follow the podcast before you go. And I hope that you continue to dream big and go after that goal of yours unapologetically because you have what it takes. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to click the follow button so you don't miss future episodes. And if you see another one on the list that you think looks interesting, take a listen or just download it for later. I'll see you next time.